Hi, John. This is Susan from the Sheridan Hometown Past and Present page, and I want to thank you for letting me interview you today. And I guess we'll start. So you grew up Gopher Valley.
I grew up in Gopher Valley. I was born there in 1930.
Okay, and your parents were?
Nelson Agee, or Nelson and Margret, Mildred. And anyway, I was saying that growing up in the valley, there were so many just people that lived. They were their whole life. I mean, Oldhams, Fagans, that they grew up, raised their family. They farmed, and small farms, made a living. Hey, no, Abby. Watch Abby there, dear.
Come here, Abby. Oh, she sees that plate full of food.
Yeah.
That made a living off of the place. And to go up there and see it now, in 57, I was over there, and I leased a place right next to Dad on the old, well, it was a grower place at one time. And then I think I leased it off of Pessix. But anyway, 225 acres. I farmed that and worked it.
And how old were you then?
About 27 maybe.
Wow.
And I worked there and farmed that and worked at Taylor's. And I was going to buy Dad's place. But all of that now, you go up there, it's all divided up into houses. It's all grown up into brush. There was big fields.
Really? Now see, that really surprises me, because you go up there, like you said, you go up there now,
Yeah.
and it's nothing but forest.
Right.
I can't even imagine it being all those fields up there.
No, they were all open fields.
Wow.
And that one, we had 80 acres just in that one field over there across the creek and on my grandpa's old place. All just one big field, no brush. Well, brush around the fence rows, but that was the extent of it.
Wow.
And I did not believe, I used to think my great uncle Jasper, which was born in 1754. But he had a memory, memory just stuck right with him through all the years. And he'd been down there and telling, I was just a little guy, and he would tell about the valley being just all cheat, shoulder high, and a few old growth tree here and there, and so on and so forth. I thought he was full of baloney. You know, I was just a little kid, and yeah. And I did not realize until after how quick all of that stuff could grow up.
Right, so it was all fields.
Yeah.
Well, the Indians
just doesn't.
kept it burned.
Do you remember over there where the Agee Cemetery is?
Yes.
You know where that is?
Right.
You know how all of that tree and forest was down there in front of it?
Right.
That the conservatory took out? When we had that, it was all open. When I was over there, and we used it for pasture land. Dad wanted to go out there and break it all up and farm it a couple of years, and then put it back to a grass. And it was a little too steep for our old 1020 McCormick Deering tractor that we had, the old wheel. So we got Ray Williams, which he lived up on the place right above us. We always called it the Miller place. It was where Mike Smith's grandpa.
Oh, okay.
Neely. And we got him to come over there. He had a little 1020 or T20 McCormick Dig cat, and I got him to come over there, and he farmed it for 2 years, put it in there. And we farmed all that. Come here, Brandy, stop that. And we farmed all of that, and I went over there. I rode on the combine. For hay.
That's just water. Your little doggy here wants to eat my food. See, I got some great nummies here, some great desserts. So, it's cute.
I rode on the combine to combine the grain off of that. And to think how fast those trees grew up there.
Right.
In fact, it just broke my heart when they planted them.
Oh, they planted them.
Oh yes, they were all planted in there.
Ah.
It was a deal that Jack made with the neighbors.
Jack?
Nelson? Is it Nelson?
What was his last name? The guy that bought the
I think it was Nelson, wasn't it? Huh?
that died on there. I'll think of it after a while.
Okay.
But anyway, he made a deal of the neighbor was going to buy the place, and then somewhere along the line they had and was going to make a tree farm out of it.
Ah.
And somewhere along the line they had some kind of a little falling out because Jack told me no, that wasn't going to happen. So that was the extent of their tree planting.
Ah.
But that was all planted up
Wow.
through there.
Well, can we go back to you growing up as a young child, what it was like? Where did you live? What is your earliest memory of living up there? Do you remember?
Well, right from the time that I started remembering, because I was born down in the, well, I like to call it the old Hunsicker place. What the heck was that place? Down there where the post office was, just Nisson's had it, Merrifield.
Yeah, Gopher Valley had its own post office.
Oh yeah, it had it.
Yeah.
In fact, I lived in that house for a little
Oh, you
while.
did?
But I was born there.
Ah.
And before I...
Midwife. They had a midwife, didn't they, there?
No.
What, or wasn't?
No.
Why were you born there?
Huh?
Why did she go there to have you then?
No, I was in Sheridan. I'm talking about it. I lived in that
Oh, your
house.
first memory was
Yeah.
of
Well, I didn't remember. I was too little. But Dad, they owned, the same people that had that place owned two 50-acre plots right up the valley, right there right where Agee Lane starts on the north end and going over. And then there was 50 acres right on next to it, going over to 100 acres where the house for the conservatory and so on and so forth is now.
Okay.
So there was 200 acres there. And Dad was buying the first 50 acres.
Okay.
And that's where I remembered, that's the first place that I can remember.
Now, was that the old Agee Homestead?
No.
Okay. Was that gone when you
That
were
was not even on the, it was not even on the Agee place. In
Oh,
fact,
it wasn't.
That
Oh.
over, all of that on the east side of the road never did belong to the Agees.
Ah.
Until Dad bought it.
Okay. But where was the homestead, the Agee homestead that you see the pictures?
It was across the creek over on where that big hill comes down over there. It was right up almost to the point on it. On the east side, there was a spring, a beautiful spring, still runs good water.
So that was your dad's parents' or grandparents' place?
Would have been grandparents.
Grandparents. That would be Isaac and Cordelia. Okay.
And the one thing that I never, and I really discussed it with myself, but I never followed through with Dad. They came out there and they built a shack there, or so on and so forth. They decided that's where there was. And they have a picture here that they claim was the old homestead. To me, the hill don't look quite right. It isn't the right perspective, and I'm not really sure it is.
Really?
But, they must have, they had to come out in the fall, and they built some kind of a shack to get through the first winter. And then they built some kind of a house, and they lived there on that place for up until Isaac passed away, what, in 1903, sometime like that.
So you're not sure that that's the real homestead?
No, I'm not sure. I never did have the house. I never asked Dad about it. I was
Ah.
really disappointed. He'd always said that that's where the old homestead place was, and I think that that's where they built their main house
Okay.
up there too.
Okay.
But because I know that they planted a orchard over there. There's an old orchard.
Well, where the Agee cemetery is, John,
It's
Mike,
around the hill from that.
right, Mike took me down to where the old homestead was supposed to have been.
Yeah.
And there was an orchard. There's still some trees.
Yeah, there's trees there. When I was a kid, we used to get our winter apples and stuff out of that orchard. And I know that that's where there was. I have no idea what the original or the house that they really built looked like.
It was already gone.
It was already
okay.
gone.
All
There
right.
was a barn down below.
Yeah, he told me about that too, and that's no longer
That
there.
was partially standing when I was a kid. But it was, and I don't know where my grandfather lived up till when he
And
built
who was-
the White House over on the
And who was your grandfather?
Charles Murray.
Charles, okay. And your grandma, Ida, was it Ida? Yeah. Beautiful
It was
lady.
Charles Murray, because Charles is the name that's carried down.
That's
and
right.
So if Charles appears in every generation.
Right.
someplace.
But Ida, I remember
Conrad.
her pictures. Beautiful woman. Wow.
I was a namesake of her brother, Johnny Conrad.
Right, right. Yeah. Do you remember him?
No.
No? Okay. So you were telling me that you went in the Korean War
Yes.
and that your brothers actually went, you were the youngest?
I was the youngest.
You were the youngest, you were the baby of the family.
Yeah.
So am I. So your brothers went to World War II. They were in World War II. And were they in the Navy? Was it all of them?
Norman was in the Navy, and he's 11 years older than I am. Melvin is 10 years older than I am, and he was in the Coast Guard.
Okay.
And Raymond was in the Army.
Okay, so they
And
were,
he actually was the first one that went into the service.
wow.
Right after the war started, he was working in Portland, and he joined up.
Did they see any action? Did they go into,
Melvin didn't see that much action. He was.
Radio
They were
operated.
looking for U-boats and stuff here on the Pacific coast. Stationed most of the time up in Astoria.
sorry. My phone is going off.
But actually, I don't know if you.
Mike?
how do you-
Hi, I'm interviewing John as we speak.
William,
Can I call you back?
William would have been the first.
Huh?
I said William would have been the first to die
Oh,
in combat.
that would be great. That would be great. Okay. All right. Okay, bye-bye. That was John. I mean, Mike. He's going to come back.
Oh,
He loves history.
Yeah. So, back to so Mel was in,
it's in the Coast Guard. He was
Okay.
a radioman,
okay.
and their job was he was stationed out of Astoria, and they patrolled the Pacific coast and on up towards Alaska and so on, looking for submarines and that type of stuff. Norman, he joined later with the Navy. He went to Okinawa, and he was
Oh.
a storekeeper over there on Okinawa. Raymond is the only one that really seen any real action. And Raymond went in, he was with the 41st, if you have ever,
Oh, yes.
that's a real noted, and he was in on all of the invasions all the way through, and he was one of the first of the occupation into Japan.
Oh, wow.
And then just right shortly after we went into Japan, they let him come home.
That's good.
But Raymond has a string of ribbons and
Wow. So all the boys went to
yeah,
war. So I bet your mom was fit to be tied on that.
Yeah, the folks worried a lot.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had it any other way.
Right. Yeah, I saw pictures of all of them together. A great picture of them all in their uniforms.
But I went like the Korean deal.
Yeah.
I guess I was kind of a coward, I guess, because
Oh.
all of the
See,
go to the movies, and you know how they had all of the newsreels at the.
Yeah.
I looked over there and I seen all of them soldiers down there sitting in those foxholes, because Korea was cold.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you went to Korea?
Well, I was up in Korea. I mean, in the water. I joined the Navy.
Ah.
I said,
they cleared the
I don't
beaches.
want to do one of them cold foxholes down in there. I'm going to be in the Navy at least where I got a warm bed and 3 meals a day. So.
Well, the ship that you were